my name is Hadi Purnama. I'm now working on my PhD at the VU Amsterdam. I was part of the PPI in Netherlands together with Jantje, and I was also involved in this discussion since the beginning when we had the first discussion about this issue with the KITLV in Leiden, and then the second one was at VU. I was it was kind of like very interesting issues for me, especially because I'm working on the issues of human rights and international law. Regarding this research, when I arrived here, it was kind of very interesting for me to see how we see the same effect with the different view, especially about the history between the Dutch and Indonesia during 45 to 50s, because somehow Dutch governments, still recognize Indonesians' independence in 1949, but Indonesia independence is on the 17th August 1945. So, but from my perspective, especially from the international law perspective, it's about the history of colonialisms, and then also how the United Nations issues regarding self-determinations. It's only came about very late, and then it's become a mainstream idea on the, together with human rights. It's only after the 1960s, because at the beginning, I think United Nations also still recognize colonial territories, and then that's also very important because that's also recognized that the international law also part of the colonial framework at the time. And then my question is that how do you perceive this? Because this research will have legal consequences from either from the national or international perspective, because such as what have been worked by Jeffrey with KUKB on the issues of the Rawa Gede, for example, because it was in the Hague court, which means the existence of Dutch government in Indonesia, especially in Rawa Gede, is still existed in that period of time, because the government, the Dutch government, took responsibility by paying the compensations. And then this is also making clear that the effort at the time to reclaim territorial, colonial territorial in Netherlands, indeed, from the Dutch perspective, or Indonesia at the time, so already proclaimed its independence, become very quite confusing issues, because the consequences when of this research, if you said there is a violence and there is that the Dutch is wrong, it's going to have the consequences that the Dutch should pay compensations at least, or to recognize that what the Dutch did during 45 to 50s, it's something that's wrong under the international law. If the result is a difference, it means it's a half different kind of legal consequences, because all Indonesians who are under the Dutch can go to the court in this country to ask for any kind of compensations because of that. So I don't know how it's going on, but it will be the impact will be very huge in both countries. And then I don't know how it will be defined in the research itself.
I think it's a very fascinating problem. I'd love to sit together with you discussing it, because it's fascinating to think that the Dutch were operating under a changing international law system and international system of United Nations and everything, and a new international world order framework, and they were participating in Nuremberg, they were participating in Tokyo, and at the same time they failed to recognize that this created a responsibility for them in the Dutch East Indies. Of course they recognized it in practice, but they didn't recognize it formally. And on all levels, civil administrators, military people, legal people recognized on the Dutch side that things were going on like we had known here under German occupation, as well as the Indonesians under Japanese occupation. So there was kind of a pushing away of guilt by making it small. I have written an article that's called War Crimes are the Guilt of Others, because you cannot imagine yourself to be guilty of war crimes. And this is a thing that has to be disentangled. So I'd love to sit with you and discuss this issue further. Because it is explicitly part of our research project.
Waar houdt Nederland het recht, Peter?
Wat zeg je, Jeffrey?
Waar houdt Nederland het recht? Het land die 18.000 kilometer. Je kan het niet goed praten, joh. Kom op.
I don't think I'm whitewashing in this case.
Er is geen recht.
Perhaps because you've posed this question so often, waar houdt Nederland het recht aan? Nobody around this table thinks that the Netherlands had a right for colonialism.
Nou ja, ik zou zeggen, zet dan met grote letters daar, zeg maar op jullie weg.
So self-evident.
Zeg het dan. Dan is het duidelijk.
I've written it down many times.